Hey everybody, I'm Carla Dweck, and I'm here at the Marion House. So here's the thing. This is probably going to be short, and I'm guessing that the jackasses are going to probably try to cut the stream like they were interfering it with yesterday. So anyway, on my channel, Race to Walk, I usually share good thoughts about good words, and they're so good that everybody steals them. So it leads to Hack the Saga. Here's the thing. I feel like I have like every criminal in the western state of Oregon like attacking me and hacking me. So yesterday when I was coming down to the courthouse, there was massive interference with trying to go live, right? And so anyway, I just recorded, but I did an update later, and I said I was going to go and check out some of the records at the court. So I haven't even started on getting all of it, but what I found, holy crap. Okay. So this was for the property that there was a sheriff's sale that was supposed to take place yesterday at 10 a.m. And last minute they said it was postponed for an hour. And so there had been several people there, right? And then at 11, there were two people that hadn't been there at 10. And one was a guy from Refresh Mortgage who ended up buying it for like 145,000 or something. And then there was some woman, I don't know if she's a shill bidder or what, but anyway, they were the only two there. And the people, so when they have the courthouse, they're supposed to be doing it on the courthouse steps, which is where the two women who were representing the Marion County Sheriff's Office were standing to begin with at 10, right? And then at 11 o'clock, they take them back in a corner around the courthouse. And the two people that were there, they were literally hiding behind the corner because I was recording. You know, this is public, right? This is all supposed to be public. So anyway, I'm recording it on my hacked Google Pixel phone, and I say they wouldn't have been able to hear me say this, but I was saying it in my phone. Well, that doesn't look suspicious. I mean, it looks totally sus, right? And then after I said that, the guy with Refresh Mortgage moves out and goes and stands over by the two women from the sheriff's office. What does that seem like to you? I mean, just to me, just based on how I've seen other people respond to things, right? That seems to me that there's some connection between, and it's like this total crime syndicate in Oregon. I swear, I had no idea that Oregon as a state was so freaking corrupt. Like I don't think I've uploaded this, but I think that the main industry in Oregon is identity theft. No joke. So anyway, I was thinking okay, first of all, I think there's like tons of shady legals being published in the Kaiser Times, right? Because it's a small distribution paper. And what is the likelihood of somebody seeing that, right? Because I don't think they're posted online. So they would have to be somebody that's picking up a physical paper. So anyway, I'm starting to check these out. And then I come and they literally just the way everybody was acting, it was just so super sketch. So I go in today and I'm looking, and here's the thing. I sold real estate in the 90s. It's been a long time. Some of the things, that I took in, real estate school, don't remember, I don't remember all of the things. So anyway, I'm just looking through things to see, I can tell people are getting knocked off. I'm just looking through to see, if I notice anything. Because like I said, what seemed weird to me is that number one, on the Marion County Sheriff's site, when I tried to print the page as a PDF, I tried 3 different times and there was an error every single time. And then the writ of execution so that's one thing. The writ of execution was uploaded as an image PDF, not as selectable text. And then the third thing was that the case number was from it was a 2020 case number, not 2025. So anyway, this is what I found. So I was talking yesterday that there had been some sort of transaction in December 2022 for $35,000. So if anybody knows, this is out in Staten. It's on an acre. If anybody knows, and I looked in the area, just what the average price was. The average price of homes in that area, and this is an older home, but the average price of homes in the area is about $400,000. Okay, so I don't know what it was in 2022, but anyway. And I had seen an obituary for somebody with it had the person's name and then the heirs, right? So the person died in 2022, like mid 2022. Okay, so there were, if you go and you look, let me see where my numbers are. So I was going and I was looking up the case number, right? So the main case number that foreclosure was on, that was in the writ of execution, was, let me look. Where is it? I don't know. It seems to me like, okay, this is a number in Marion County. 20, so that means it was filed in 2020, CV 22989. That's the case number, right? That it was just sold on yesterday. So then in some of the notes up above, it says that there is a related case that is just reminding. I have pictures of these people that did this. You will not believe this when I read this to you. Where is it? Okay, it was basically they filed a forcible removal on the family in 2020. Was it 2023? Let me look. Okay, so they don't let you. I have to write this down because they don't let you take your phone in there. So, or I mean, you can take it. You just can't have it on. You can't use cell phones in there. So, where is it? Okay, this is it. This is a related case. BL 2004218040. So anyway, and I was looking at the notarizations too, because some of the things look kind of weird, like the initial filing in 2020. Some of the things look kind of weird to me because it seemed like I don't know if this is normal. I don't know if they normally like redact like huge amounts of loan documents in there. Like the bottom of every single page had this big black box over it. Like that would be maybe where signatures was on the guys, where the original owner's signature was on one of the mortgage pages. His was the only one on there. There were no witnesses on there, and normally the notarization is on the page where the signatures are, right? It wasn't. It was on the next page. That seemed weird to me. There was another one. They had two pages in there that said it was for state of Oregon, Washington County. This is Marion. What's the deal with that? And then there was just a bunch of weird things on there. So okay, so let me get to it. So what it looks like to me, I'm not sure. This is just what I'm being able to tell. It looks like to me is that the original owner had purchased a property or had the first deed of trust to SunTrust Bank back in 2007, and it was for $69,700. That was the first one. What's another thing that's weird is that when I'm looking through the documents that are here in this that are filed, and there's a ton of them over the years, there's not a clear record of transfer, right? So Wilmington Savings Bank or whatever is saying that they were the primary lender, that they assumed it for SunTrust Mortgage. There was nothing in there that I saw that actually proved that was the case. I don't know. I don't know what's normal with that, because I know banks sell mortgages all the time, but that kind of adds to the confusion here. But then the one that they were really foreclosing on was one for Citibank. That was. It looked to me like that might. I don't know. It was for about the same amount, I think. It looked to me like that was a duplicate deed, like that might have been faked or something, because they were referring to I don't know. It from the documents, it wasn't clear, right? So I don't know. Maybe just the court filings are a mess. I don't know. But they bought it in 2007. That was the first time there was a deed of trust. And then there was another one for Citibank a year after. So it kind of seemed like there was double there. And then there was a loan modification in 2017 for almost the same exact amount, 67,400, that what he had bought it for, 10 years before. And then that was weird. And then 2 years later in 2019, there was some sort of record that came from Selene Capital or something that was based out of Houston, and saying that the balance that they owed was $19,000. I don't know. It didn't make any sense to me. So anyway, what it looks like is that this was the father's home, who died in mid 2022. And then I'm going to read you this response from this from the heir. And okay, let me find it. I just wrote all this down. So anyway, it looks to me like, because it's an older home, if you go out and just search it on Zillow, it looks like it's an older house. It looks like this is what I'm thinking. It sounded to me like he contracted with Refresh Real Estate to come and do some work on the house. And then I don't know, like they put a contractor's lien or something and then sold the house and was trying to evict him. I don't know. That's what it looks like. But anyway, this is his response to their attempt to evict him in 2023. So just keep in mind. Okay, I'm just gonna read it to you. So this is his response, and this is handwritten. You can go and look this up at the court records. The eviction notice. Okay, so this is his response. He's saying the eviction notice is legally incorrect. And this is what he said. My home was unlawfully purchased at a wrongful, non-judicial foreclosure sale. My father passed away last year, and the trustees auctioned this home despite the arrangements I had made with the finance company for loan modification. Despite the property being in probate, and despite there being a current judicial foreclosure judgment by the first lender. So I'm assuming that this is their, the primary mortgage is what he's referring to, on the property. And so this is Marion County case. This is the one that it just sold yesterday, 20 CV 22989. I offered to return the money spent on my home at auction to Refresh Real Estate. So this is what I'm saying. It sounded like maybe it was like, they came in and did some contracting. I don't know what the heck. I don't know what Refresh Real. This is just my opinion based on what I'm reading here. If Refresh Real Estate comes knocking at your door, you better get your dog to chase them off. Anyway, the $32,515. They spent on my home $10,000. I don't know what this means. It's like, it sounds like they put in about $10,000 and then he's offering them basically $32,500 to get rid of them. And he said they did not accept and told me $245,000 is what they would accept. What the heck? There is in between $150,000 and $200,000 in equity in my fourth generation home. I have documents proving the trustee should never have sold it. A lawsuit is being filed suing for wrongful foreclosure, fraud, etc. I have 4 children and this is home. Can you believe this crap? No wonder that guy was hiding behind a column. He should go and hide in the ground. I don't know the whole story on this, but here's the thing. This is the other interesting thing. This is what I don't have time to look at everything. There's a lot of, it's like it's the same thing that Paul Betancourt does to the Texas legislature. They just file a deluge of paperwork and bills to like overwhelm people, and that's what it looks like on this this filing for 2020. It looks like it's just this deluge, jerking them around and screwing them over, just trying to wear them out and get something past them and through because. Oh, and it's Robert S. Fed, he has an Oregon State bar number, but he practices up in Washington, and Mark Passant, it's like those are the attorneys. If anybody knows them, go tell them they're jackasses. Anyway, so the attorneys, and they were filing for, like, the very first filing back in 2020, they were like, we just want to have appear by phone because the council is 50 miles, more than 50 miles than from Marion County Courthouse. Okay, well, why don't you get a Marion County attorney, and then you won't have that problem. Anyway, I mean, if you can't be bothered, it's like, anyway. But this is what I found interesting, just in what I've looked at before. So in July 9th, 2020, the trial judge was Mary Merton James. In March 2nd, 2021, it was changed to Tracy A. Prawl. And then in August of 2021, it was changed to James C. Edmonds. So here's the thing. If there's been 3 different judges in this, I'm guessing that there are probably some things that have been lost, right, in the translation. But also, this is the other thing that's interesting. So there's this one, you look up the case and there's this whole long list of, I'm just looking at the records room at the Marion County Courthouse, but there's this long list of documents, and then sometimes you click on them and then more stuff comes up. So on one of them, on the affidavit of publication in May of 2021, they published the notice of foreclosure in the Woodburn Independent. So if you know where the Woodburn Independent is in Marion County, but if you know where it is, it's not close to Staten. Okay. And I think Staten actually does have a paper, so why they didn't just publish there, I don't know. But anyway, there's a note underneath that affidavit declaration, ineffective, should have been published in the Statesman Journal per order dated March 4th, 2021. Okay, so I looked in the list. I couldn't find anything that was dated March 4th, 2021. So I don't know. Maybe the court record system is a mess. Maybe it was altered or deleted. Could be that I'm just not seeing it, but I did look a couple times. I did not see that order. So they were ordered to publish it in the Statesman Journal by, I'm thinking it's Tracy A. Prawl. What the hell are they doing publishing it in the Kaiser Times? Kaiser Times is a lot smaller distribution than the Woodburn Independent. What the heck? What the heck? No one is more likely to go and see, a relevant person is not more likely to see it at the Kaiser Times than they are the Woodburn Independent. But I don't see, there's a note on it, but I don't see that dated there. Also, so then they publish it again in July 2nd, 2021. Okay, so the Statesman Journal is like the main paper in Salem. And it says the Statesman Journal, a Gannett company. I don't know, were they bought out or something? I don't know. I don't know, like, the connections there. So I looked up the affidavit. They have to publish it, and then they have to send an affidavit to the person who published the notice. Okay. So this is what was interesting to me, and it's the Statesman Journal. It's the person who signed it was the principal clerk of the Statesman Journal, the Silverton Appeal, and the Staten Mail. And that notice was published in the entire issue of said newspaper in the following issue. Okay, so does it say which one? It just says it's a principal clerk. And oh, by the way, that principal clerk was in Wisconsin. What the heck? What kind of goat rodeo is this? I don't understand this. So, and this is the other interesting thing. So there was a notary seal on there. And it did have, the notary seal did have her name in there. It did not have her notary number or the expiration date of her commission. So if you look on notarization, like they sign it, but the notary has to have their own seal, and it's supposed to say their name. It's going to have the notary number and the date their commission expires. It didn't have that. It looks like something you could buy off, like, eBay or something as a stamp. I don't know. It was why is it Wisconsin? That makes no sense to me. I mean, maybe that's normal. I don't know, but that just seems weird. There's a lot of weird things. But anyway, and then this is the other thing about the affidavit. So at the bottom, so what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to, like, literally you cut out, when the paper comes out, you cut out the the legal notice out of the paper and paste it on, right? And I don't know who files it with court. It must be the attorney must file it with the court. But when I looked at what it said, it literally says Statesman Journal underneath the legal notice. Maybe the Statesman Journal does that, but at the Kaiser Times they don't, because obviously they're just sending it for one, right? And then if you look at underneath the, it's just, so it has the legal notice, and then it's the Statesman Journal, which is just weird. Like, literally, if this was legit, do they really? Maybe they do. I don't know. I have to go look at a Statesman Journal. Do they literally publish Statesman Journal underneath every single legal notice? I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know. But the dates that were listed that was published, because, like, if you look at the legal notices, it will say, like, the one coming out at the Kaiser Times on. Okay, there's another thing I found at the Kaiser Times. There, I tell you what, shady jackasses are really going to regret they ever crossed my path. Anyway, it will say, like, if you see, like, the storage notices, they have to publish twice, and it will say 7/18, 7/25 for the ones that the last publication is 25th. That means that those are the 2 weeks it published. They literally had full out wrote underneath the thing June, whenever it must have been June, the month of 4 times the month of June. But then the year, it said 20221. There was a mistake in that. So anyway, there's all kinds of questionable things in there, and I don't know. I will just say this. Obviously, I'm not an attorney and I don't pretend to be one on Twitter, but when was it? 2 years ago? Was it 2 years ago? Yeah, it was 2020. No, this is 4 years ago, when they were just getting started in this, all of this. The judge told them they had to publish the notice in the Statesman Journal, right? This last notice from the publication was not published in the Statesman Journal. It was published in the Kaiser Times. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, I don't. I think that there's a lot of shadiness going on with this. I don't know. I don't know the family's story, but if there's somebody in the area that is in Satan, I think that somebody should be, like, investigating it, and also investigating what that company is doing. So anyway, yeah, and I didn't even get through all of it, and there were other things I was gonna look. I mean, it's just like there's so many shady crooks out there, and, like, nobody pays attention. And this is a thing, that whole order to that stipulation they had to publish in the Statesman Journal. Why is that not in the records? There's a note of it. So what? Did somebody get bribed to delete it out of the records? What? Because it was there, right? So anyway, Yep, that's what I did today. That's what I did. And that's why the guy was hiding behind the column. And that woman, oh, just FYI, just FYI. So that woman that was there, I don't know if she was like a shill bidder to make it look authentic or what. I don't know. I have your license plate. I have your license plate. So, if there's ever anybody that looks into it and what's going on, you can be found. Anyway, that's it. And I will talk to y'all later. I don't know how to end this. Oh, here it is. Okay. No, I really will talk